I'm Jonathan Watt with Atara Group International. We hope you're enjoying our series, and if you are, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. Today we're talking about building strong church teams by means of emphasizing individual strengths. There's a power of strengths-based leadership. You see, in many church environments, we have traditionally focused on fixing weaknesses. If someone struggles, for example, with public speaking, it's tempting to sign them up for a speaking role to help them improve. And while growth and development are important, this approach can often lead to burnout and frustration and, frankly, outright inefficiency. So, on the other hand, strengths-based leadership flips the script. Instead of trying to fit square pegs into round holes, this method emphasizes what each person does best and then empowers them to lead from that place of strength. It's a model deeply rooted, we think, in just general biblical wisdom. Remember this verse, I think you will. Just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, it says in Romans 12:4, then what we want to do is maximize on what each of those functions and special areas happen to be. So in the comments section, why don't you share with us one of your spiritual gifts and something you struggle with as well? Now, let's talk about this. When my business partner was in seminary, she had to complete an assessment to help her better understand her spiritual gifts. The book she used is Discover Your God-Given Gifts by Don and Katie Fortune. We've included the link in our blog. You can look it up there. We recommend you consider that book. It's very, very helpful. And she was required as an undergraduate in a women's leadership course to assess her own leadership skills and strength. And the instructor used what's called the Strengths Finder 2.0 by Tom Rath. We've included that link as well. We believe these are helpful for understanding yourself and your strengths. We want to recommend them. Anyway, she found both tools to be great benefits to best utilize the gifts which God had given her to lead. And that's not surprising, for when people are encouraged to serve in alignment with their spiritual gifts, well, they're more likely to do any of a number of things. Number one is they'll feel fulfilled and energized because they're using what they've got. They'll tend to stick with their ministry long term. It comes from inside of them naturally. They'll tend to work more collaboratively with a confidence they have something to offer the team. They'll produce better outcomes for the church. So let's talk on this angle. We're going to introduce 4 strengths domains, as they're called, strengths-based frameworks, such as the Gallup's Clifton Strengths, which categorize talents into 4 main domains. Each of these plays a vital role in church leadership. Let's take them one by one. Number 1, there are strengths that are around executing or getting things done. These are your dependable doers, people strong in the executing domain, which have a natural ability to turn vision into a concrete reality. They're organized, they're disciplined, they're driven to complete tasks efficiently. So their executing function is a very strong one. In a church setting, these individuals may thrive, for example, in event planning, facilities management, ministry logistics, administrative aspects of leadership. Here's a passage that's very helpful. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. That's Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Very fitting one for this among other domains. All right, let's consider some others. The domain of influencing, making things actually play through and happen. People in the influencing domain know how to take charge, how to speak up, and also how to inspire others. They're often great communicators and motivators with a gift for rallying others to a particular cause. Now, ministry roles that suit influencers include things like this. Well, not surprising, preaching and teaching, social media and communications like that, outreach and evangelism, fundraising or casting visions. These people tend to be good at these kinds of needs and tasks. Let's go on to the third domain, that of relationship building. These are the people who build relationships, but in doing so, hold a team together. They sort of help glue the different personalities together in a way that is cohesive and wholesome. These are the heart-centered connectors. They're individuals with strengths in this domain that excel at building strong, supportive relationships. They tend to be empathetic, loyal, and excellent at maintaining harmony and unity. They shine in certain kinds of roles like, pastoral care, hospitality teams, counseling and prayer ministries, small group leadership. These are the kinds of things those people tend to excel well in. Now, we mentioned that there were four. Let's turn to the fourth. There is a domain that we call strategic thinking, which is charting a course specifically as a visionary. Visionaries love analyzing the information that's before them, but then exploring and pressing into possibilities that haven't yet occurred. They're good at, if you will, planning the future. They bring depth and insight and often innovation into the team experience. Strategic thinkers are a gift in areas such as long-term planning, vision casting, teaching and theological development. They do well there. Budgeting and stewardship as well, and the technology needed and systems for development, they tend to be good at that. So building the team, this is a strengths-based approach that we're talking about. And now that we understand the strengths domains, the question is, how do we practically build teams around them and see them move forward? Here's a first step. You need to discover the strengths. You need to encourage your leadership team and volunteers to discover their own strengths. Again, we're going to mention the Gallup's Clifton Strengths or some other kind of spiritual gifts assessment. These often can offer some very, very helpful insights, frankly, that are helping people get to know themselves, but sometimes in a way that they didn't yet know. Step two, you need to build complementary teams. In other words, different things fit together in a complementary fashion. They aim for diversity across the strengths domains with each team. In other words, all of these are needed. They combine visionaries with executors, with influencers, with relationship builders to get a balanced as well as effective ministry. Step 3, you need to empower people to lead from their strengths. Let team members own their roles in a way that aligns with how God wired them. Give them room to innovate and trust them with responsibilities that match their talents. You see, the benefits of strengths-based ministry teams, when you build a team based on strengths, your church can expect higher engagement, greater retention, stronger relationships, improved effectiveness. Let's face it, this is how we move from simply filling a role to actually unleashing people's callings and empowering their purpose. Now, let's briefly express and address some common concerns. You may be asking, what about my weaknesses and the things I struggle to do well? Well, strengths-based leadership doesn't ignore weaknesses. It just doesn't lead first with them. Complementary teams cover each other's blind spots. We know that they're there. Another common question, what if we're missing a domain of those four? If your team lacks a domain, let's say it has no strategic thinkers, well then look more widely. Consider mentoring, recruiting, or developing someone with potential specifically in that missing area. Here's a final thought. Remember, a body is what we have, not just a team. Paul's metaphor of the church as a body reminds us that every part and every task matters. And by emphasizing our own strengths and our team members' strengths, we're honoring how God uniquely created each one of us. You're the body of Christ, each of you is a part of it, says Paul in 1 Corinthians 12:27. Build teams on a foundation of strengths and celebrate God's creativity in your people. And then the next steps for church: conduct a strengths inventory for you and contact Atara Group International to assist you in leading a leadership workshop to do these kinds of tasks. We've got the website there for you. Restructure ministry leadership teams to match your team's abilities, and then strengthen each member's contributions as you build healthy leadership structures within your group. Atara Group International specializes in helping churches develop healthy, strengths-based leadership teams through tailored workshops, coaching, and leadership development strategy. So whether you're a seasoned pastor seeking to revitalize your team or a new ministry leader building your structure from the ground up, we can offer faith-centered guidance and practical focus to help your team thrive. So to learn more about Atara Group International and how we can support your mission, visit us online and schedule a free 15-minute consultation. Thank you.